Hey everybody, Monsterzero here from HeadKarma, and today I'm going to be talking to you about one of my favorite headphones of all time. It's a legend, it's discontinued, it's good, it's bad, and it is ugly. It is the HifiMan HE-6. Now, this headphone is unique on quite a few different levels. And today I'm going to talk to you about what makes this pair of headphones so special, what about it is great, what about it is not so great, and what about it is downright horrible. And all of those things equate into what these headphones are. So kick back, relax, and let me tell you about the HE-6. First of all, what we're going to talk about is the amplification required for the HE-6. This headphone is the hardest headphone on the planet to drive. If you're one of these people who is used to plugging in your earbuds into your phone, you can't do that with these. If you're beyond that, if you actually have yourself a headphone amplifier that sits on your desktop, and it's, it puts out 800 milliwatts at 600 ohms, whatever. That won't drive these either. What you need is a goddamn thermonuclear power plant to drive the HE-6s. There's a couple ways that we can go about conquering and slaying this beast. The first way is to fork out 4 digits on a massive headphone amplifier such as the Wells Milo. I have not personally heard the Wells Milo myself, but I've heard my friends of mine have it, and they claim it is an excellent pairing. If you don't have $3,000 or $4,000 to throw at a headphone amp, and who does, there are ways around it. And one of the ways that many people, including myself, have gone about driving these is by using vintage receivers. I've got 5 vintage receivers in my house, and I've tried them all, and they all work well. Everything from 50 watts all the way up to 125 watts is my biggest receiver at the moment, and they all drive this remarkably well. HifiMan recommends putting 2 watts minimum into 50 ohms for these. Members on the various headphone forums suggest a minimum of 5 watts before you start to really get these headphones to sound the way that they're capable of sounding. I have put upwards of 20 watts into them. And each step of the way, when I plug my 50 watt into 8 ohm, you can do the math. When I do that one, it sounds really good, but then I kick it up to my 100 watt Onkyo, and all of a sudden it's like more bass control, a little bit more detail, and it's those kind of little, it's the plankton, it's the small things that start to become bigger and better, if you know what I'm saying. So, if you're sitting here listening to me and saying, okay, you're crazy, dude, I'm not going to use a vintage receiver, I'm just going to use my phone. Trust me, man, don't waste your time. These, when underdriven, these headphones are awful. Terrible. Don't even bother, don't waste your time. They are shrill, they are sibilant, they've got no bass, it's a mess. And the first time I heard these was at a headphone shop in Bangkok. And the guy just handed me the headphones and didn't tell me which amp I needed to use. And I just plugged it into a random amp, and it sounded horrible. And I'm like, who the fuck would ever buy these headphones? These are terrible headphones. Well, I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that these were the hardest headphones on the planet to drive. And he didn't speak any English, and I don't speak any Thai, so we couldn't communicate. And I ended up walking away thinking to myself, God, whoever made these headphones, they should be shot. That's how bad they sounded. But when you give them enough juice, wow, it comes alive. It's just really, it's beautiful. So, you know, if you can't afford a big, gigantic headphone amp, and you don't want to mess with vintage receivers, then all I can tell you is don't bother. And what I forgot to mention about the vintage receiver, you can't just plug these into the headphone jack in the front. What you got to do is you got to get a special cable made, and instead of, in lieu of the 1/4-inch plug that you stick into the normal headphone plug in the front, you cut that off and you terminate it in 4 speaker cables. So you've got a left and a right, positive, negative, positive, negative. And instead of in the front, you bring it around into the back of the vintage receiver and you hook it up as you would a speaker, a full-size floor-standing speaker. That's how demanding of power these headphones are. You drive them like speakers. In fact, my speakers are easier to drive than this pair of headphones. So that should tell you all you need to know. 83.5 sensitivity. These are not light headphones, and I would not call them comfortable. They're not uncomfortable, but they're not this nice feathery pillow. Put them on and you forget that you're wearing them for 6 hours. That's not what these. This is not their strong suit. They weigh 500 grams, a little over. So they've got some weight to them. If you've got a weak neck or a bad back or something, that's something to consider. But if you're sitting in a chair like I'm sitting here, and you put these on, to me, this doesn't bother me. The weight is not an issue for me, and I'm an old guy. The clamping force, what keeps it attached to your head, it's not really tight, and it's not loose, so you can do a little bit of head banging and bopping your head around, and these aren't going to go flying off. And at the same time, you're not going to feel like your head's being crushed by a torture device either. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being really comfortable, 1 being horrible, I'd give it about a 3. Many headphones excel at certain things. You have some headphones that are good for rock, but they're not so good for hip hop, or they're good for trance, but they're not so good for metal. And these headphones do it all. And I'm not getting paid to say that. I'm a customer. I bought these headphones with my own money, and so I'm being honest with you here. I have yet to throw any genre of music at these headphones and feel like I was getting cheated out of something. These do metal. I'm an old metalhead. These do metal fucking brilliant. They do rock. They do classic rock. They do punk. They do surf guitar. They do the blues. They do Pink Floyd. They do reggae. They do trance. They do Sybient. I don't listen to jazz too much. I don't listen to too much classical. On occasion I will, but it's usually in speakers. I would assume, don't take my word for it, I would assume they do those genres well too. But if someone held a gun to my head and said, Monster, pick 1 pair of headphones for everything, based just on sound, this would be it right here. These are that good. The bass is it's tight. It hits really hard. It's a really, you can feel it when that bass drum hits, especially in like trance music, and it's thump thump thump. It's a good heavy slam. I've seen some people call them bass head headphones. I would not say that. These are not going to make anyone forget their JVC SE2000s. But for a headphone that across the sound spectrum is relatively neutral, the bass aspect of the sound is really heavy. In addition to that, the sub bass extends very deep. It goes down, I don't know, 25 hertz. I don't know where the cutoff. It says 6 hertz, but you can't hear 6 hertz. the Odyssey LCD2 pre-phaser. I used to have that headphone. That, to my ears, dug down a little bit deeper and was more present in the sub bass than these are. But these aren't far behind in the sub bass. These are really good for sub bass. Mid bass slams. The bass, it can be a little bit loose, but that can be addressed. The mids, the guitars on these. Let me talk about guitars for a second. So, when you're listening to metal, and you got a really aggressive, you're listening to some thrash or whatever, this guitar, it's got the chunky. A lot of headphones, you lose that chunky, aggressive sound. It just disappears. I don't know where the fuck it goes. But some headphones just cannot convey that aggressive guitar sound in metal. These can. If it's an aggressive sound, you're going to hear it. If it's a mellow, laid-back acoustic song, you're going to feel a mellow, laid-back presentation. This can do everything from metal to folk music and everything in between. Female vocals, beautiful, gorgeous, right there in front of you. Just want to reach out and grab her. Male vocals, same thing. They're right there. The guitars, the keyboards, everything comes at you at a fairly neutral position. In other words, nothing is pushed back to the rear. It's not recessed in any ways. So the mids are exactly where you want them to be. The highs are very detailed. They're very, they're not too revealing, but they're revealing. So, not to the level of the Sennheiser HG-800. You're not going to be able to dissect a song as accurately with these as you will with the 800s, but you're still going to get a tremendous amount of detail from the highs of the HE-6. If it's too bright for you, there's some peaks in there, in the upper mids and the low highs. It can be a little bit peaky, and I'm sensitive to that type of stuff. I used to have a pair of Bear Dynamics, and I fucking hated them. They were just like, they killed me. These don't bother me. So take that for what it's worth. I'm sensitive to the sibilants. These don't bother me. So yeah, just across the board. They've got bass, check. Mids, check. Highs, check. The soundstage on these, I wouldn't say that these are known for their soundstage. These are a little bit narrow when it comes to their presentation. It's not entirely between your ears. It comes out a little bit out to here maybe. And it's got some three-dimensionality, but I wouldn't say that these headphones are known for their exceptional soundstage. Imaging is good. You can definitely tell where each musician or vocalist is situated in the studio when the song was recorded. You can pick up when somebody's, here versus when somebody's over there versus when somebody's over there. You can hear that difference. I've heard more precise. I've heard more, razor sharp imaging, but these headphones do a really good job of imaging and at the same time keeping the song a coherent piece as opposed to a bunch of different separate pieces working together, if you know what I'm saying. Like some headphones, it's like you can't enjoy the music, you're too busy dissecting it. So the imaging is good. The speed of these headphones is phenomenal. These are really, really fast headphones. If you're getting into, some really crazy classical with a lot of different instruments going on really fast, and your crescendos and stuff, punk, fast, speed runs in metal, really fast, aggressive metal, these will slice through those, and everything comes out crisp and clean and fast. A lot of headphones struggle when shit gets fast. A lot of headphones, it sounds like a blur. It sounds muddy. It just doesn't sound good. Quick note on these headphones. These are highly moddable headphones. I'm not a modder myself, although I have done a little bit of modding on these. Nothing crazy, but I took the grills off to open up the soundstage a little bit, and I changed the pads, and I put in some double-sided tape, which tightened up the bass significantly. I don't want to spend too much time on modding. If you have a pair of these and you would like to change certain aspects of the sound signature, you can do some research on the internet. There's tons and tons of documentation on how to mod the HE-6s. It's one of the more highly moddable headphones out there. Just want to get that point in real quick. So we're talking now, we've covered just how wonderful these sound, how these are a genre master. The bass, the mids, the treble, everything is where it should be. How great these are. Let's get into the bad. Okay, so the bad part about these headphones is, one, they're discontinued. You can't buy them new anymore. And when you could buy them new, there towards the end, they were retailing for $1,299. And you're probably saying to yourself, if you're new to the headphone hobby, you're like, $1,300 for a pair of fucking headphones? Yeah, it is a lot of money, but it's relatively speaking, these are a bargain. They really are. They're for the sound that these produce and the price that they cost versus headphones that are comparable what they cost. This is a steal. It really is. Unfortunately, as I said, you can't get them anymore. So your only chance to have a pair of these now is to try to find a used pair. And going back to modding, because these can be modded and are modded so frequently, it's very hard to find an unmodded pair, which may or not be a good thing for you. You may want a stock pair for whatever reason, and it's hard to find that. So now we've discussed the good, and for the most part, I've been gushing about how great these sound. I've covered some of the negatives, like they're discontinued, and you need a really powerful mega amp to drive these. Let's talk about the ugly. And unfortunately for me, it gets really ugly here. And so yeah, I bought these brand new in 2017, January. I was fortunate and I found a brand new pair in the box with a full warranty at a shop in Southern California, and it was the last pair that they had. And I bought it, and I got them. And, you know, I had the special cable made with the speaker taps. That set me back $200. And I was really enjoying my HE-6s. And June, fast forward 6 months, I'm sitting here one night and I'm rocking out to some Concrete Blonde, and I got it, you know, I got it decently loud. It's not like stupid crazy loud, but I'm having a good time. And all of a sudden, the left driver just stops. It just went silent. I've never had a driver fail on me before, so I didn't know what to expect, and I was thinking it would be a little bit more dramatic, perhaps. I don't know. That was a pop or, you know, something to warn me, hey, this is about to fail on you, some blue smoke, something. No, none of that happened. It just stopped working. And so I contacted HifiMan, and they honored their warranty, and I sent it away, and they sent me a new refurbished pair of HE-6s, which was now my second pair. And, you know, headphones sometimes require about 100 hours, even I've read some headphones, 200 hours of listening to music before they're fully settled down. I was on about hour 40. So my second pair wasn't even fully burned in. And about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I'm sitting there, same scenario, listening to music, and then the right driver failed on me on my second pair. After 2 months, 40 hours, $1,300. You see where I'm going with this? So I repeated the process, sent the second pair away, and HifiMan once again sent me a new refurbished pair. And that's what we're looking at right here. I just got this pair of HE-6s back from HifiMan about a week ago. This particular pair has never been heard by human ears. It's never been plugged in. It's never been used. It is mint, unmolested, unmodded, with a warranty, and they're for sale because I give up. I can't live with a pair of headphones that is going to die on me, 6 months, 2 months, 1 week, whatever. I don't care how good they sound. For me, I like something that's going to be worth the money that I put into it, and I expect it to last a little bit longer than 6 months. I've got a pair of headphones over there that are 44 years old. They've never been refurbished, they've never been modded, they've never been serviced, and they're still going strong, and they still sound beautiful. And they cost me $125. And they sound great. And they're 44 years old. These are $1,300, and I've had to send them in twice since January. So, unfortunately for me, and it pisses me right the fuck off, because I know that when I sell these, knowing my luck, whoever's going to buy these will have no problems with this pair. They're going to listen to them and have a great time for 5-10 years, and I'm going to miss out. It also pisses me off because I know that no matter how much money I get for these, whether it's $900 or $1,000 or all my money back, as I mentioned before, I cannot take that money and go out and buy an equal or better sounding headphone. I'm going to have to put in another $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or even $4,000 before I can start to top what these do. And that really pisses me off, because I knew this is why I wanted these headphones to begin with. I knew that even though $1,300 is a lot of money for headphones, that relatively speaking, they were a bargain. What I didn't know is that they were going to fail on me twice in 8 months. So, that being said, guys, if you want a pair of brand new HE-6s, let me know in the message box. If you have any questions or comments, I'll try to answer all of them. But to wrap this up, my experience with the HE-6 has been very bittersweet. I've enjoyed listening to these tremendously and would highly recommend them based on the sound quality alone to anyone who really wants a world-class headphone experience. The build quality on the 2 pairs that I've had so far has been less than world-class, unfortunately. So that wraps it up. This has been my review of the HifiMan HE-6. I'm Monsterzero, and I'm with HeadKarma, and I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out my videos. And I'll be back again soon, and we'll see you again next time.